Nicole Smith conspiracy theories. And if you guys don't know who Anna Nicole Smith is, I'm actually going to go through her biography and her life with you guys before we get into the actual theories, just so that everybody is on the same page. Anna is definitely looked at as a Hollywood icon. I think she's one of those people that you either love or you hate, kind of in the same category as like Marilyn Monroe and stuff, but not exactly, but people would like to compare her to Marilyn a lot. She pretty much rose to fame from being a model and things like that, but there's a lot of like crazy things that have happened in her life that really rose her to stardom, that really got her in like the gossip columns and stuff like that. So we'll get into all that stuff. I've been really wanting to make this video because I personally loved Anna Nicole Smith, and I know that she's one of those people that you either kind of love or you hate. And for me, I really loved her. For one is because I used to watch her reality show when I was younger, and back then I just thought she was really pretty. I didn't really think much of it because I was little, but I always just for some reason just thought she was very captivating, like she was very beautiful, and I know my dad really liked her, and my mom watched the show with me when I was little, or I think my mom watched it and I just kind of like was like, hey, I want to watch it too. I would watch whatever my mom watched. We would like watch TLC and stuff like that all the time. Lifetime talk shows, whatever moms watch, I wanted to watch too. I never really knew all that much about her when I was younger, but I do remember her death, and I remember my dad being kind of like upset about it and being like, oh my gosh, like Anna Nicole Smith passed away. So a few weeks back I decided that I was going to watch her reality show again. And so I just watched all of them. Pretty much all of the episodes are on YouTube if you guys are interested in watching the Anna Nicole Smith show. And I watched them all over and I was like, wow, I didn't realize, obviously, when I was younger that she was, you know, caught up in this crazy life and she had a lot going on. And if you watch the episodes, you know, it does seem like she was messed up in a lot of them. She was on pills or taking, you know, different drugs, and it's really crazy what happened in her life. It's actually very sad when you look back at the reality show, because in a way it kind of exploited her, and I feel like if that was a reality show now, it would be just cause so much controversy. Like I can't even imagine that being a thing nowadays, because people would get so offended and upset over it. But back then that was actually on TV. But as much as a train wreck as that show was, rewatching it really made me kind of rediscover my love for Anna Nicole Smith. She's just very funny. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, but her humor was just very raw, and even though she was in the spotlight and she was really famous, she never was afraid to be herself, and that's something I just really admired about her. I loved her like confidence no matter what. She made people laugh all the time. She was never really too serious, and that was something that I really liked. She was very charismatic and very silly, and she honestly was really funny if you look at her humor. I've also always admired like pin-up old Hollywood type celebrities and that style. I've always liked that. So just the fact that she was really into that, you know, makes me feel like I can kind of relate to her in a way. And then she kind of pushed the boundaries for plus size women, which I thought was great. She did a lot of modeling, and she showed people that, you know, you don't have to be a size 0 to be a model or to be on the face of magazines and stuff like that. So that was another thing that I just found a little bit admirable about Anna Nicole. So whether you love her or hate her, we're going to get into the theory. Excuse me if I'm looking down a lot, but I did write a little bit of a cheat sheet because there's just no way that I could retain all of this information and tell you guys without like messing up a million times, because it's just a lot to take in. So I'm going to read off of this for pretty much her biography. We're going to talk about her life and who she is, and then we'll get into the theories. There's quite a few. There's a lot of crazy things that happen in her life. Learning about her life is going to give you guys a lot of background on these conspiracies. So Anna Nicole was born Vicki Lynn Hogan in 1967. She grew up in Mahia, Texas. She first worked at a chicken joint and got married at the age of 16, which is so freaking young, to Billy Wayne Smith, and they had a baby. But of course they quickly divorced because that was like extremely young to get married, and then she lived in Houston, Texas for a while. She worked as a stripper, and there is where she met J. Howard Marshall, which is really where the story gets interesting. J. Howard Marshall was this really rich, wealthy, older man who, you know, saw her at the strip club and ended up really taking a liking to her. I know that Anna didn't want to marry him at first because she wanted to make a name for herself before she got married. But then she started modeling and doing a bunch of modeling jobs. She was in Playboy, she did Lane Bryant, she was the face of Guess, which is like a really big deal. And another cool thing too is that she was plus size. So a lot of these brands that took her on then, you know, this was beginning a new era. This was in the 90s, so the ideal body type in the 90s was really stick thin, kind of like Kate Moss, like really, really thin. And so Anna Nicole was this like plus size model that was in all these things, and you know, that was a big deal. It just kind of showed you that any body type could be beautiful, you know, and I thought that was cool. So anyways, then after she did all these modeling gigs and stuff, that's when she did end up marrying J. Howard Marshall. Now, J. Howard Marshall, he had a lot of money. He was a billionaire, so people were starting to accuse Anna of marrying him for his money. Now, after their 14 months of marriage, J. Howard Marshall actually passed away at the age of 90 in 1995. Anna was only 27 years old, you guys. That's it, 27. So after J. Howard passed away, Anna and his son, E. Pierce Marshall, they actually went into this really long legal battle over his billions of dollars. This legal battle was crazy, you guys. Like, it went on forever. This even went on past Anna's death. Anna was getting a lot of publicity at the time because people did think that, you know, she was such a gold digger and she married him for his money, even though she definitely claims that she really did love him. That's a whole separate thing, but apparently she really did love him, and I kind of believe that. Like, something in me believes that she did. Anyway, so she was getting into all of these gossip columns, and people kept talking about her because, you know, it was this typical young girl marrying this really old guy, and everyone thought she was a gold digger, and she just married him for his money and waited till he died so that she could inherit his billions of dollars. Through all that, she was offered a reality show, and that was what I was talking about in the beginning of this video. It was called the Anna Nicole Smith Show, and it just kind of documented her life. The reality show kind of just revolved around her and her attorney, Howard K. Stern, her best friend Kimmy, or like one of her friends at the time, and her son. So it pretty much revolved around them and their little dog. If you guys go back and watch it, a little bit sad to watch now, but it was very funny at the time. I don't know, it's almost sad to laugh at it. You can just tell in the show that she was always acting really slow, like she was on something, which is super sad. But anyway, skipping ahead, so she ended up seeing the show after a couple seasons. I think it got canceled after 2 seasons. She saw that she felt she looked heavier, so she ended up, you know, being the spokesperson for this trim spa stuff, and she lost a ton of weight. And in 2006, she became pregnant. On September 7th, she moved to the Bahamas with Howard K. Stern. I know we're skipping ahead. You guys can look up any kind of, like, you know, biographies if you want to learn stuff that you're confused about. There was a problem with her, you know, the DNA test with her child. Nobody knew whose child it was. It was kind of a battle between, was it Howard K. Stern's child, which was her attorney? Maybe they had a thing going on. Was it Larry Burkhead's child, which was this other guy that she had a thing with, one of her photographers? People even speculated that it was J. Howard Marshall's like frozen sperm, which I don't think that was a thing. She gave birth to a little baby girl named Danny Lynn, and then 2 days after her birth, on September 9th, her son Daniel died in that hospital room, and Anna found him in the morning dead, and he died from a drug overdose. They found methadone and 2 other drugs in his system. Her son Daniel was only 20 years old, you guys. Just imagine finding your son who you love so much, and you can tell if you watch her reality show that she loved him. She did. It's just so heartbreaking to find your son unconscious after you just had your baby girl. Imagine that, you guys. Imagine this new life coming in, and you know, you being so overjoyed and happy with this new baby, but then your son dying 2 days later. It's just such a crazy flow of emotions. I can't even imagine how that could affect a person's mental capacity. Really put this into perspective, you guys. Now Anna is dealing with the death of her son, her paternity lawsuits for her daughter, and then the legal battle with the inheritance from her first husband. All of those horrible things combined with the pressure of fame and being in the public eye, I honestly can't even imagine, and she spiraled into a really, really bad depression. So of course she's probably taking more and more drugs to cope with these things. In late September, she had a little commitment with Howard K. Stern. It wasn't legal, but they kind of had like a little marriage ceremony. They were supposed to get the house that they lived in the Bahamas, but they ended up being evicted from that home for not paying the $900,000 that it costed. I don't really know if she was just broke at that time. There's a lot of theories behind this as well. So since she was evicted, she ended up staying at the Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood, Florida. This was when her daughter, Danny Lynn, was 5 months old. Anna was found dead in room 607 at the age of 39 years old. The reason for Anna's death was a drug overdose of the sedative chloral hydrate that was lethal, combined with with 4 different kinds of benzos that she was taking. These include Klonopin, Ativan, Serax, Valium. There was a lot of different things found in her body. I think 20 plus pills, which is a ton. She ended up being buried in the Bahamas next to her son Daniel with the ashes of J. Howard Marshall, her first husband. In April 2007, Larry Burkhead was proven to be the father of little baby Danny Lynn, and he got full custody of her. Now that you guys have an understanding of Anna Nicole and her life and who she was, we're going to get into some of these sketchy things behind her death and the conspiracy theories that people have thought of. We all know that she died of a drug overdose, and her son Daniel also passed away from the same thing, which is so sad. I think that they were probably very clinically depressed. They were both having a very hard time, probably from being in the spotlight, a lot of the pressures that you can get from being super famous and being, you know, all over the tabloids. There's a lot of things that have happened to them in their lives. It's just really odd that they both passed away so close to each other. It happened within, you know, a few months' time. The top conspiracy theory that most people think is that Howard K. Stern actually sort of killed her because he wanted her money. So he kept on feeding her pill after pill, and he was getting these pills illegally. He did. That's in, you know, in records that he was obtaining these pills illegally. He was feeding them to her and giving them to her after seeing how she was reacting badly and seeing that, you know, she wasn't doing well with all of these drugs, and he was continuing to give them to her just because she wanted them. In a way, people think that he murdered her or he wanted her to die so that he could inherit the money from J. Howard Marshall's estate. The reasons behind this theory are obviously, you know, the fact that Howard K. Stern was, you know, held accountable for giving her these pills and providing these pills for her even though she shouldn't have had them. But there's also this really weird video out, and it's always creepy every time that I watch it. But it's a home video that Howard K. Stern took of Anna, and there was a little girl there. This was when they lived in the Bahamas. He took this video of her with the little girl like painting her face with a, you know, clown makeup, so she was covered and looked like a clown. But she was so heavily on drugs that she was thinking that this fake little baby was a real baby, and she was like whining and crying like a child, and it was actually very, you know, sad to watch. At the time when that home video was taken, Anna was pregnant, and she didn't know that she was pregnant. She was like, oh, I just have gas. And it was just, oh gosh, it's so sad to watch. I don't even really know how to explain it to you guys. It's just something that you have to see for yourself. So I will leave all of the links down below for all of these little pieces of evidence or other videos you guys may want to watch. It's so sad because Howard K. Stern is the one who was taking this video, and he's sitting there videotaping Anna while she's in this crazy state of, like, you know, unknowingness. She's completely gone from the drugs, and you can tell. And he's videotaping it. He's completely exploiting her and being like, you can hear him in the background, oh, this is going to be worth money someday, and like kind of laughing at her and poking at her and making her do things a little bit manipulative. It's very sad to watch. And just the fact that he was letting her take these pills and giving her these things, knowing that she was pregnant and letting her just kind of wear away from these drugs, it's just so gross. Howard was also present at both Anna's and Daniel's death. One sketchy thing that kind of goes along with that is that Ford Shelley and G.M. Thompson stole and edited the clown tape, and they kind of coaxed her in the first place to run away from Larry Burkhead, which was the father of her child, to move to the Bahamas. These people got her to do that, but then these same people ended up, you know, kicking her out of the house in the Bahamas after her son just passed away. So that's just one thing that is a little bit sketchy or a little bit odd. Another conspiracy about Anna Nicole Smith that I've heard about was that she was under some kind of trauma-based mind control, or maybe something with the Illuminati, or she belonged to a sex cult. I don't really know about all this stuff. I've looked and I've tried to research, and I didn't really find too much information on it, but if you guys find anything about that, definitely let me know in the comments below. I think it's a little bit far-fetched and a little bit silly for me. That one, I don't know. In my personal opinion, I do think that Howard K. Stern may have had something to do with it, but did he necessarily kill her? Maybe he did have an ulterior motive. I don't really know, because parts of me feel like they really loved each other and that they cared about each other, and other parts of me think that maybe he was a crazy creep and he really did, you know, want her to die and wanted that money. But in my head, I just really feel like she passed away due to obviously the drug overdose, but that was from depression. That was from her being sad. That was from all of these crazy things in her life coming all together at her at once. It's really hard for a human being to handle. I'm sure there were a million things going on in her brain, and it was probably really hard to deal with that stuff on a daily basis. Not to mention, you know, she's in the public eye, and everybody's always talking about her and trying to, you know, communicate with her, and paparazzi and like all of these things coming at you at once, I know she was depressed, and I know that's why she ended up taking so many pills. That's why she acted so crazy all the time. You know, that's why she was kind of like ditzy and a little bit weird in times, because you could tell that she was taking drugs, and all of this drug stuff is probably due to the fact that she was depressed. Also, she didn't have the greatest childhood. She had her first son at the age of 16, and you know, she was kicked out of her house, and I don't know if she had the best parents, and there's so much going into this, you guys. Like, just think about, you know, one person and all of these crazy things happening in their life. Her son dying, the one person that she loved so dearly dying, and then having another baby. Of course, it was the drugs that killed her, but it was the depression and the sadness and all of those things that made her really spiral into taking those drugs. To me, that was just kind of the root of her death. Her first husband dying, her son dying, all of these people constantly coming at her with allegations. That's just my opinion on her death, but I would love to hear what you guys think and what your opinion is. Now, here's some more sketchy things about it. Apparently, the hotel did a bad job on investigating her death. They refurbished the entire room, they changed the room number, and they had a medicine man cleanse the entire room. Some people think that maybe this was a cover-up, and other people think that they just didn't want fans trying to book her room. They didn't want any like journalists or like weirdos coming in to try to, you know, stay in that room or anything like that. They just didn't want any of that weird stuff going on. Which to me, that sounds like more of a legit reason than them covering anything up, but who really knows? Another weird thing about Anna's death was that her mom, Larry Burkhead, and Howard K. Stern were all fighting over where to bury her body, but her body was decomposing faster than normal, and they're having this crazy battle over where they're going to bury her. I've heard a lot of weird things about Anna's bodyguard. His name was Maurice Breithaupt, and he claims that one time she fell off of a raft and she sunk to the bottom of her pool, and he ended up saving her. Maurice confessed that in court because I think he felt a little bit of remorse, and he ended up claiming that him and Anna also had an affair, which, you know, is another whole different thing, because you wouldn't have thought after all of these crazy things she's dealing with that she was also having an affair with her bodyguard. Like, there's just so much going on in the story. I know it's crazy, but like, that could lead to something. Another sketchy thing is that people were still cashing in on her death long after she died, and I'm talking years and years later. People made deals with tabloids. You know, like I said, her bodyguard was all of a sudden claiming this affair with her, and you know, he was able to go on like talk shows and stuff. There's money involved in that stuff. And then her half-sister apparently wrote a book. People were literally making money off of her death, which is so fucked up and sad. One thing that really goes along with my opinion that I heard was that one of her ex-boyfriends, Mark Hatton, says that Anna died of a broken heart, which is kind of something that I do believe. Actually, my dad, his mother passed away. The way that he would explain it to me is that she passed away from a broken heart. And I do think that's a thing, because, you know, when your heart's broken, you can get depression, you can get a lot of mental problems, and, you know, your mind kind of deteriorates along with your body, especially when you're taking drugs. It can just make you spiral down into a very, very bad state, and it makes you mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted. I prefer to look back at Anna and just look at her very fondly and look at the good things and how funny she really was, and how her reality show made me laugh, and how I thought she was very beautiful and overcame these, you know, plus size standards and modeling, and those are the things that I like to look back on. I think that she was very charismatic. I think she was funny. She made me laugh like crazy. She had a very strong, bold personality. I don't know, something about her bubbly personality I just liked. I liked that she was girly and fun and silly. Of course, there's going to be people that didn't like her and that are going to say really negative things and, you know, look back at negative things about how she was, and I understand that. You know, everybody thinks of people differently, but I prefer to just look at the positives and not focus on all the negative stuff. I don't idolize her. She isn't someone that I really look up to or anything. I just thought she was very beautiful and very funny. That's just how I feel, so take it or leave it, whether you guys liked her or not. I hope that you still enjoyed this video. I would love to hear your thoughts on these Anna Nicole Smith conspiracy theories. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had to do a ton of research. I'm pretty sure I've seen like every single video there is known to man on Anna Nicole Smith, especially all of the ones on YouTube. And I did watch her movie on Lifetime. I've seen her documentaries. I've seen obviously her entire reality show. I just rewatched that. I've always been a fan of Anna, but it was just very interesting to learn about her. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you guys think. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like any other celebrity conspiracy theories or any other conspiracy theories in general, let me know in the comments. You guys can follow me on my social media. I have a Twitter and an Instagram. As always, all of those links will be down below, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.